Okay, right. I'll assume the screen is visible to you all and also it is audible. So listen carefully and observe the slides. So I am going to explain the non-uniform flow and the syllabus content. Okay. So is it visible this syllabus to you all?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay. So in this, we have completed the module number 1 and module number 2 also we have completed. Okay, this module number 2, that is this open channel flow hydraulics only. So in open channel flow hydraulics, the first unit, that is the first module, was uniform flow. And now in module number 3, so we are starting non-uniform flow. So in non-uniform flow, the hydraulic jump, how it takes and all, and what is the definition of non-uniform flow. Then the derivation for the hydraulic jump, expression for the conjugate depths and energy loss, how much energy lost in hydraulic jump and all, and numerical problems on gradually varied flow, then equation for backwater curve. So first we'll understand what is the backwater curve and all, and a flux, what do you mean by a flux and all, description of water curves and its profiles, that is a mild slope, steep slope, critical, horizontal, adverse slope profiles. So we'll discuss about these things generally occurs in a channel. And then the numerical problems on identifying the flow profiles, means by solving the numericals you can identify what kind of slope it is, whether it is a mild, steep or critical. So these things are included in this module number 3, that is a non-uniform flow. So let us start with module number 3, that is a non-uniform flow. So we'll start this one, module number 3. I hope it's visible to you all, this slide, right? So module number 3, as I said, it's the open channel flow hydraulics. In that non-uniform flow, I am going to explain. So these are the contents or the syllabus they have mentioned in the syllabus. That is a non-uniform flow, hydraulic jump, expression for conjugate depths and energy loss, numerical problems on hydraulic jump, gradually varied flow and equation, and even backwater curve and afflux, again the derivation and equation. Then the description of water curves or profiles for the channels, that is a mild, steep, critical, horizontal and adverse slope profiles. Then the numerical problems on identifying the flow profiles. Okay. I hope it's visible to you all, right? And my voice is audible to you all, right? So these are the contents of non-uniform flow. Okay, just look at the contents. Okay, so first before starting non-uniform flow, so let us define the definition of uniform and non-uniform flow. Already I explained this in module number 2 in introduction part, what is uniform flow and what is non-uniform flow. So let us look at once again what is the uniform flow and the non-uniform flow. So uniform flow means it is the flow in which the condition of flow remains constant from section to section. Means the depth of flow will be remains constant from section to section. Okay, you could take anywhere, so the depth of flow will be remains constant. Hence the depth as the depth of flow is remains constant, the velocity will remains constant here. Okay, so constant discharge through a constant diameter pipe, what we call as a uniform flow. Even constant depth through a channel also we call as a uniform flow. Since we are studying the channel flow and you just study with respect to channel only. So in this one, as the depth of flow remains constant from one section to the other section, hence it is called as a uniform flow here. And the velocity will be remains constant. As you know, velocity is inversely proportional to the depth of flow. Okay, since the depth of flow is same, the velocity will be remain same. So that's why dou v by dou x equal to 0. Hence we can call it as a velocity is constant throughout the length of the channel. This type of flow what we call as a uniform flow. Okay, and coming to the non-uniform flow. So non-uniform flow means it is the flow in which the condition of flow does not remain constant from section to section. So it means here the depth of flow get varies. As the depth of flow get varies, the velocity also get varies. So means the dou v by dou x is not equal to 0, then we can say the velocity is the variable here. So this is what we call as a non-uniform flow. Okay, so look at the picture here given. So this is the direction of flow of water which is flowing. Suddenly it has got an obstacle here, obstruction here. Suddenly obstruction you got. So what will happen? This will be changing suddenly here. Then it will be falling with a very high velocity. Okay, means the depth is very less here. It flows with very high velocity. As I said that it is inverse, velocity is inversely proportional to the depth of flow. As the depth of flow decreases, the velocity increases. So behind the obstruction, the depth was more here. So it was having a more velocity, less velocity here. As the depth decreases over the obstacle, it is flowing with a very high velocity. Then that velocity, what we call as a supercritical velocity or supercritical flow. Then suddenly it falls down. Then when it touches the ground level again, it flows with higher depth, and hence we here it takes the uh, hydraulic jump and all. About the hydraulic jump again I'll come back to you. So this type of flow what we call as a non-uniform flow. So behind the obstacle the flow was uniform. When it crosses the obstacle, the flow becomes become very varied. The flow becomes varied, and that flow what we call as a non-uniform flow. So is it clear
Yes.
how the non-uniform flow takes place? Okay, in non-uniform flow lot of turbulence will be there. Lot of turbulence will be creating this type of flow we call as a non-uniform flow. Again, in a non-uniform flow, you know that rapidly varied flow, and one more is what? Gradually varied flow. Understood? Rapidly varied flow and gradually varied flow. Okay. Right. So about this, already I discussed in the previous module. So anyway, once again, we have defined uniform flow and non-uniform flow. Just to remember, in uniform flow, the flow in which the condition of flow remains constant from section to section. And in non-uniform flow, it is the flow in which the condition of flow does not remain constant from section to section. That is called as a non-uniform flow. So in uniform flow, the velocity will be remains constant. In non-uniform flow, the velocity is not constant. It is a variable one. Okay. Right. So non-uniform flow, what are where it come across the non-uniform flow? So in non-uniform flow, as we defined previously, velocity varies at each section of the channel. Velocity varies at each section of the channel, and energy line is not parallel to the bed of the channel like uniform flow. If you take a uniform flow, if the flow is uniform like this, if you plot an energy line, that is energy gradient line, so which is parallel to the bed of the channel. So for this is a bed of the channel. So this is a bed, the parallel to the bed of the channel, that is easy energy gradient line for uniform flow. Whereas for the non-uniform flow, the energy line is not parallel to the bed of the channel, since the depth of flow will be varying. Since the depth of flow is varying, so the energy gradient line and the bed of the slope is not uniform. Okay, is not parallel to that is the energy gradient line is not parallel to the bed of the channel. And what causes the non-uniform flow? So let us look at the first one. What causes the non-uniform flow? That is differences in depth of the channel. So if there is a change in the depth of the channel, then the chances of getting a non-uniform flow. And second one is differences in width of the channel. Even the width of the channel also varying, then again we get the non-uniform flow. And in differences in the nature of the bed also we get a non-uniform flow. Differences in the slope of the channel also we get the non-uniform flow, and any obstruction in the direction of flow we get the non-uniform flow. So these all are the causes for the non-uniform flow. Okay, so uniform flow is only one depth throughout the length of the channel. We get only one depth of flow where the velocity remains constant. But if you want to have a non-uniform flow, these are the causes for the non-uniform flow. That is, differences in the depth of the channel and differences in the width of the channel, differences in the nature of the bed, differences in the slope of the channel, and obstruction in the direction of flow. So these all cause the non-uniform flow. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. So this is about introduction part. Then again, look at the where you all get the non-uniform flow and uniform flow. So now you will get the idea when we derive the equation and all. So try to understand and observe carefully here. So here a channel is given. So what is this one? Can anyone tell this one? This is the channel. What is this one obstacle we call? What is this one? Is it drop? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We have discussed about the drop and hump like this. Okay, this is the drop in a channel or a canal. Okay, just observe here the presence of an obstruction. The presence of an obstruction in the channel, such as what are the obstructions? Such as gate may be present, or change in the slope or the cross section. These all are obstructions. Cross section causes the flow depth to vary. Okay, I'll repeat: the presence of an obstruction in the channel, such as the gate or the change in the slope or the cross section, causes the flow depth to vary. That is varied depth, or it is called as a non-uniform flow. Non-uniform flow. Such a varied flow are common in both. Wait. Okay. Such a varied flow are common in both natural and human-made open channels, such as rivers, irrigation systems, and sewer lines. So in these systems, so these type of flows are more common. And rapidly varied flow. What do you mean by rapidly varied flow? If the flow depth changes markedly or rapidly over a relatively short distance in the flow direction, such as the flow of water past partially open gate or over a falls. Over a falls, you may get the rapidly varied flow, or even over the spillway of the dam, you will get the rapidly varied flow, or when you open gate suddenly, then the flow will be the flow will be rapid, or you can call it as a shooting flow. Okay, then gradually varied flow. When you get a gradually varied flow, if the flow depth changes gradually over a long distance along the channel, it is called as a gradually varied flow. A gradually varied flow region typically occurs, where it occurs gradually varied flow, typically occurs between a rapidly varied flow and uniform flow regions. So see here, this is a gradually varied flow, and this is a region of rapidly varied flow, and this is a region of uniform flow. It is in between. Gradually varied flow will be between rapidly varied flow and uniform varied flow. Okay, then here look at this one. Whenever the flow approaching any obstacle or any obstruction like a drop, so before it is falling over an obstruction or before approaching any obstruction, what was the type of flow? It was uniform flow. So what do you mean by uniform flow? Till here it is uniform flow. What do you mean by uniform flow? Hello? What do you mean by uniform flow?
The velocity and the depth of the flow should be constant at two sections or more.
Yes. So the depth of flow remains constant, or the velocity is constant. This is called as a uniform flow. Okay. Then when it approaches any obstruction or obstacle like a drop or anything, So what will happens before it is falling over an obstruction, the depth will gradually increases like this. It increases gradually. Is it clear? Then this is what we call as a gradually varied flow, and it takes for a longer distance. From it starts from here. You might have observed the flow behind the dam. We observed the flow here. Before it falling over, it will be like this. It will fall. Are you getting my point? From here to here, it is what kind of flow it is?
Any flow.
Gradually varied flow, right? When it falls down, what is this flow?
Rapidly varied.
Rapidly varied flow. Okay, so try to understand the differences here. Okay, all of you. So here it's a gradually varied flow. Once it falls down, suddenly it changes suddenly over a shorter distance. This is a shorter distance. So here it is mentioned the flow changes relatively short distance in the flow directions. So this is what we call as a rapidly varied flow. So after falling down, suddenly again after falling down, again it moves. Means suddenly the hydraulic jump will takes place like this. Okay, then till here it is a rapidly varied flow, and after that again it gradually the depth will changes. Gradually it changes for a longer distance. Then after that again it will become the constant depth. So this will be what? Uniform flow. I hope you understood the differences, all of you.
Yes, sir.
Just
Yes, sir.
just you write in a comment, all of you understood the differences. I'll check here. Let me check how many of you understood. Right. All of you understood. Okay. Now. So this is about a uniform flow, gradually varied flow, and rapidly varied flow. So once you understood uniform flow, gradually varied flow, and rapidly varied flow, and it is easy to understand what do you mean by hydraulic jump and all. Next, what the derivation we do next. So you can easily understand if you understood the types of flows in a channel, that is a uniform flow, gradually varied flow, when it takes, how it takes, where it takes, then you can easily understand the hydraulic jump and all. Okay, so my voice is audible to you all? Clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. Then let us have a differentiate between a uniform flow and a non-uniform flow here. Just the differences already I have defined. So here just a minute. Okay. So here, if the flow velocity at a given instant of time does not change within a given length of the pipe or a channel, then the flow is called as a uniform flow. So you can, if in exam, if they ask what is the difference between uniform flow and non-uniform, just you write the definition and draw this figure here and show it. At every section, the depth is remains same, hence the velocity is remains constant, that is dou v by dou x equal to 0 and all. You can say like this. And non-uniform flow means if the flow velocity at a given instant of time changes within the given length of the pipe or a channel, then the flow is called as a non-uniform flow. Hence, in non-uniform flow, dou v by dou x is not equal to 0. That means the velocity will be varying from section to section. The velocity is varying from section to section. This is the difference of between the uniform flow and non-uniform flow. Again, in a non-uniform flow, we have two types of flow, that is a rapidly varied flow and gradually varied flow. Rapidly varied flow will take place in a shorter length, and gradually varied flow will take place for the longer length or longer distance. Okay, so for that you can give examples when the rapidly varied flow takes place or when the gradually varied flow takes place. The flow behind the dam, what we can call as a gradually varied flow, and flow over the dam, and at the toe of the dam, the flow will be rapidly varied flow. Then coming to the very important part of this module is a hydraulic jump. So this picture is visible to you all, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just try to, just a minute, I'll come back. Right, this picture is visible to you all, right? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, look at the picture here. This one. Okay, so this type of that is a flow. Have you observed anywhere in a dam? Have you seen this one? All of you? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Have you visited any of the dam? Have you observed this fall or the flow of water just at the downstream side of the dam? Have you observed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
if you have seen this one, then you will understand what is hydraulic jump. Okay. So this what we call as a hydraulic jump. So it is must for the must in hydraulic structures and all. We need to produce a hydraulic jump, and why? What is the use of this and all? We'll discuss, and the equation also will calculate for this one, and also will derive the equation. So whenever the flow is over the spillway, so is it supercritical flow, right? The flow is yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If the depth is very less here, the flow is very high. That is, velocity is very high here. The flow is what we call as a supercritical flow. Correct? Huh?
Yes, sir.
So coming to here, when the depth is increasing gradually, see the depth is increasing here. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
What type of flow you get here?
Subcritical.
Subcritical.
Subcritical flow. So between supercritical, here it is a supercritical. Here it is supercritical, and here it is a subcritical. Between supercritical and subcritical, whatever the changes takes place, that is called hydraulic jump. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Try to understand. If you are not understood, you ask me. Because next time I'm going to derive the equation. Then there the word come before jump, after jump. So before jump, the flow is supercritical. After jump, what is the flow?
Subcritical.
Subcritical. So whatever things happens between the two flows, supercritical flow and subcritical flow, that what we call as a hydraulic jump. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Now look at this figure again here. This one. Again, the flow is here is the depth is very less. The flow is very means the velocity of flow is very high. Suddenly it is changing, the depth is changing, suddenly it is increasing. So means it is changing from supercritical flow to subcritical flow. When I am calling it as a supercritical flow, what is the Froude number?
Less than 1.
See, I'm
Greater than
marking
or
here. At least I am marking here. Just look at here. Is it less than or greater than? This symbol is less than or greater than? Hello?
sir, greater than.
Then who has said that goes less than? Here it is written. You all can see this, right? This slide.
Yes, sir.
You all can able to read, right? So here before this is depth is less here, the flow is supercritical and the Froude number will be more than 1. And when coming to this depth, the depth is more here, so the flow is subcritical. What is the Froude number here you get? What is the Froude number here you get?
Less than 1.
Less than 1. Okay, so the Froude numbers and the Froude fluid depths across the hydraulic jump. See, the Froude number is given, as well as the depth across the hydraulic jump is also given. So the depth before the jump is less than the critical. The depth after the jump is more than the critical. So it is lying in a subcritical condition. It is lying in a supercritical condition. Then whatever the things, or whatever the flow takes place between the supercritical and the subcritical region, then that is called as a hydraulic jump. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Then coming to this one more example here. This is the reservoir, or you can take it as a tank. So this one is a tank. The water is stored in a tank, and here it is a gate provided here. Just slowly lift up this gate. What will happen? The water will be rushing suddenly here. Then the flow here takes place at a lower depth, and this flow, what we call as a supercritical. Then as it moves, then again slowly the depth get increases here. So it will become what? Subcritical or supercritical later?
Subcritical.
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 So when you open the gate, the flow will be rushing here, shooting. This flow we call as a supercritical flow. That is a high velocity flow. Depth is less here. Then as it moves downstream side, then the depth will gradually increasing here. It becomes a subcritical flow. And between the supercritical and subcritical, there is a turbulent existing here, and it will be called hydraulic jump. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubt you can ask here. Any doubt you ask here. So just if you understood hydraulic jump, you type understood hydraulic jump. I'll check in the comment box, because unless and until you understand, you cannot understood the derivation later. Just I'll check in the comment box. Understood hydraulic jump. All of you write, or not understood. Right, shortcut HJ, hydraulic jump understood. Can use shortcut hydraulic jump understood. All 33 students should reply. 32. Okay, very good. So I hope all of you understood. Then coming to the next one. So this was the picture of hydraulic jump. So right. Now let us begin with the hydraulic jump. Then here some of the characteristics I am giving here. Just I mentioned here where the hydraulic jump occurs and all here. This is the region of hydraulic jump. It is between a supercritical flow and subcritical flow. And also you may define when the Froude number is more than 1, supercritical flow. When the Froude number is less than 1, it is a subcritical flow. Between these two regions, whatever the flow takes place, it is called as a hydraulic jump. Okay. So in an open channel, when rapidly flow stream abruptly changes, when the rapidly flowing stream abruptly changes to slowly flowing stream, means here, look at here, rapidly flowing and slowly flowing. Okay. A distinct rise or the jump in the elevation of a liquid surface takes place. This phenomenon is known as hydraulic jump. Okay. Then the hydraulic jump converts kinetic energy of the rapidly flowing into potential energy. See here, it is flowing with very high velocity. It is converting kinetic energy into potential energy. Means here you will get the standstill water. So before reaching subcritical flow, it was shooting, means rapidly varied flow. Okay, so it is converting from kinetic energy to potential energy. Due to this, there is a loss of kinetic energy. Means because of the hydraulic jump, we are getting the loss in the kinetic energy. That loss we need to calculate. How much is the loss in the kinetic energy? We need to calculate later. That is loss change in the kinetic energy. Because it is flowing from supercritical to subcritical, there is a loss in the energy because of the hydraulic jump. And because of the hydraulic jump, what will happen? The turbulent will be generating a turbulence, okay, like this, eddies. So because of this, there is a loss in the energy. That loss we need to calculate later. Then the hydraulic jump is also known as a standing wave because it is in essence a wave which is a stationary. Means here it is, hydraulic jump is also called a standing wave. A wave is in a stationary or at a standstill water, what we call as a at one place. At one place, if it is a standstill, it is called as a standing wave. Hydraulic jump is also called as a standing wave. So look at here. So this is called a standing wave, like this hydraulic jump. Okay. Then there is the rise of water level which takes place due to the transformation of the supercritical flow to the subcritical flow, what we call as a hydraulic jump. The transformation from supercritical flow to the subcritical flow is called as a hydraulic jump. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So I'll move to the next slide. Anything if you want to ask, you ask here. Any points you want to ask? I hope you understood what do you mean by hydraulic jump and what will happen in hydraulic jump and all. So in hydraulic jump, the energy loss will takes place, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Because it is changing from supercritical to subcritical. Between these two flows, there is a loss. That is because of the formation of eddies or the formation of turbulence. The energy will get lost. Okay. Then what are the basic characteristics of hydraulic jump? Okay. So here, look at these all images. Here, the different types of jumps you may get. So the jump is unsteady. The jump is unsteady and irregular, the hydraulic jump. And based on the wind direction and heavy wind blow, it changes its property and can be choppy and undular sometimes. See here, the jumps may be like this, choppy and undular, like this undular. Okay, so based on the wind direction and heavy wind blow, it will change its characteristics. So these all are the just hydraulic jump examples. Okay, so look at these all images. A, B, C, D is given, and also based on the Froude number, the jumps are being classified here. The classification of hydraulic jump. If suppose the Froude number is lying between 1 to 1.7, if you have calculated the Froude number, as you know the equation for the Froude number will be what? V divided by root of G Y. So when we calculate Froude number for the channel, if it is lying between 1 to 1.7, that gives you the undular jumps. It is first one, undular jumps, like this. If it is lying between 1.7 to 2.5, it gives you the weak jump. That is B. This is a very weak jump. If it is lying between 2.5 to 4.5, oscillating jump, like this, it is oscillating. Okay. If it is 4.5 to 9, steady jump, like this, steady jump, only one jump, steady. Okay. If it is equal to 9, strong jump, this is called a strong jump. Understood, all of you, how it is classified?
Yes, sir.
Based on the Froude number, and you understood how the Froude number will be utilized in the channel, all of you? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
You all can listen my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay, at least you replied. So I hope you understood the Froude number and all, how it can be utilized, where it can be utilized, right?
Yes, sir.
So these are the basic characteristics of hydraulic jump. Okay. Then coming to this graph I explained previously. What is this graph called?
Specific energy curve.
Yes, specific energy curve, which can be utilized in calculating the hydraulic jump as well as the energy lost in a hydraulic jump. So you can classify, and at a given specific energy, there will be how many depths? Can anyone tell how many depths we get? How many depths we? Huh? How many depths we get?
2 alternate depths and 1 critical depth.
Yes, two alternate depths. We get, leave it this critical depth. This is a critical depth. Here we get only one depth of flow. That is a normal depth we get. Okay, leaving this point, wherever you take on the curve. So we are getting at a given specific energy or at a given discharge, there will be a two depths. One depth is lying in a supercritical condition, other depth is lying in a subcritical condition. Okay, so between this one, subcritical to supercritical, what will happening here? Hydraulic jump is taking place. Are you getting my point? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
See, between the here, this is lower depth. So if the depth is low, the energies remain same, but the depth are changing. If the depth is low, what kind of flow we get?
Supercritical flow.
Yes, supercritical means high velocity flow. Again, here coming to here the depth is more. What type of flow I am getting here?
Subcritical.
Subcritical. Between these two, what is happening?
Hydraulic jump.
Hydraulic jump. Because of this, what is happening? Energy lost. I hope you understood.
Yes, sir.
All of you understood? All of you understood? Okay. So this is hydraulic jump. And here, hydraulic jump occurs when the flow changes from supercritical flow, that is unstable, to a subcritical flow. Means it is supercritical means unstable, to a subcritical, that is a stable condition. When it reaches from unstable to stable, then that is what we call as a hydraulic jump. And there is a sudden rise in water level. See, the water is rising here suddenly at a point where the hydraulic jump occurs. Means where the hydraulic jump is occurring, at that point it is rising suddenly. See here, it is rising suddenly in this region. Suddenly it is rising here. Okay. See, look at the hydraulic jump portion. Rollers means eddies. Here the eddies, the water is rolling here, is whirling. It is whirling here at this position. Rollers or the eddies of turbulent water from at this point. So these rollers cause dissipation of energy. The energy lost here. The energy will be lost here. Okay. So these rollers will lost the energy. Means the rollers cause the dissipation of energy. A hydraulic jump occurs in practice at the toe of the dam. Wherever you can take at the toe of the dam, the hydraulic jump will be takes place in practical, or below the sluice gate where the velocity is very high. So you have seen in a previous slide and all, at the toe of the dam. So here, look at this one at the toe of the dam. This is toe of the dam. This is what? Toe of the dam. Understood? Means toe means at the bottom of the dam. Understanding? This is called toe, or at the sluice gate here. Here it is taking place. Okay. See, a hydraulic jump occurs in practice at the toe of the dam or below a sluice gate where the velocity is very high. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Next.
Yes, sir.
So look at this one example I am giving where and all you get the hydraulic jump. So before reaching the dam, here it is a dam. This is a dam. A dam. The water is flowing in this direction. Before reaching the crust of the dam, means the flow behind the dam. So gradually the depth is increasing. Gradually it increases up to here. It increases. So what kind of flow it is?
Gradually varied flow.
Gradually varied flow. Suddenly it falls down. What kind of flow it is?
Gradually very.
Rapidly varied flow.
Rapidly varied flow. Once it falls down, So what is happening here?
Hydraulic jump.
Hydraulic jump.
Hydraulic jump.
After achieving hydraulic jump, after the completion of hydraulic jump, what type of flow we get? Again, gradually, because the gate is present here. Gate is present. Suddenly, if you open the gate, what type of flow we get here? Shooting flow. Correct? Is it rapidly varied? Then after rapidly varied, here it starts gradually varied. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Then hydraulic jump. Then again it rapidly varied. Okay, so here it is given supercritical flow, subcritical flow. Okay, depth. Supercritical means the depth is less. Subcritical means the depth is more. Supercritical means high velocity. Subcritical means low velocity. In between hydraulic jump. Okay. Then here also look at this one again. A sluice gate. A flow under a sluice gate accelerates from subcritical to critical to supercritical and then jumps back to subcritical flow. Okay, look here. It is the behind the gate. Behind the gate, the flow was subcritical because the depth is more here. And once it passes through the gate, supercritical. So again here subcritical. So what is this one?
Hydraulic jump.
Hydraulic jump. Okay. Next. Again, coming to here, hydraulic jump is a local non-uniform flow phenomenon resulting from a change in the flow from supercritical to subcritical. The definition is the flow changes from supercritical to subcritical is called as a hydraulic jump. Even you can get on a steeper slope also here. The flow is very fast. The very fast flow when it reaches the mild slope, that is a horizontal slope, when it reaches, suddenly the flow increases, the depth increases. So in between supercritical to subcritical, the hydraulic jump will take place. Okay. So in a hydraulic jump, there is a discontinuity in the surface characterized by a steep upward slope of the profile accompanied by lots of turbulence and eddies. The eddies cause the energy loss. Okay. Even the depth before and after the hydraulic jumps are known as conjugate depths. Remember, the conjugate depth means alternate conjugate depths or alternate depths. The depth before as well as after, they are known as conjugate depths or sequent depths. Next, we are going to derive this one only. Derivation of conjugate depths or sequent depth. See here, one depth before the jump, one depth after the jump. And before the jump and after the jump, these two depths, what we call as a conjugate depths or sequent depths. Okay, so this is the cross section of spillway or a tenter gate provided, and here the what behind the dam the water is flowing, and over the dam spillway the water will be falling down. So here it is hydraulic jump is taking place. We can, okay, at the toe of the dam. So here it is the stilling basin is provided. So right, then uses of hydraulic jump, where it will be used. The hydraulic jump is necessarily formed to reduce the energy of the water while the discharge, downfall, a spillway. Means the hydraulic jump, actually it is been created by providing a suitable structure. So the reason is to reduce the energy of the water while the discharge, downfalls, a spillway. So it becomes necessary to reduce its energy and maintain a stable velocity. That phenomenon is called as energy dissipation. Okay, so hydraulic jump will be provided, or it will be created at the downstream of the dam or any hydraulic structure to dissipate the energy in a hydraulic structures. How the energy can be dissipated here. So look at this picture here. So suppose if the jump is not being created here, so what will happen? The flow is having a very high velocity. So if the jump is not being created here like this, if the flow is not, means hydraulic jump is not being taking places here, what will happen here? There is a chances of getting erosion, right? Because it's a high velocity. Yes or no?
Yes.
The erosion will take place. Because of that, what will happen? It affects to the dam structure. So to prevent from the erosion, the jump should be provided. It should jump. It should have a higher depth of flow and moves forward. Otherwise, it will erode the surface. It will erode the surface. So once it erodes, it starts damaging the structure. That is the dam structure. So what are the practical applications of the hydraulic jump? Engineers design hydraulic jumps See, it will be designed. Engineers will design the hydraulic jump to reduce the damage to the structures and the stream bed, because if the flow is takes place with a very high velocity, it will erode the surface, hence it damages the bed of the channel or bed of the dam. Then proper design can result in a 60 to 70% energy dissipation. So if you design it properly, the 60 to 70% energy can be dissipated. It can be reduced. So minimize erosion. See, a very important thing is minimizing the erosion and scouring due to high velocities, that is dams, weirs, and other hydraulic structures. So whenever water is falling from the spillway, so if you not provide suitable hydraulic jump here, otherwise it will erode the surface. Okay, so here structure will be provided, and that structure is called as a stilling basin. Means the water will be standing here. The water here, you have to make water to stand. If water you have made water to stand here, what will happen? The water will be falling over the water. Hence, you can avoid the bed erosion. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So here the stilling basin means here they will make water to stand here. Whatever the water falls from the spillway, it will be falling over the water only. Hence, we can prevent the bed erosion. So that is what we call a stilling basin, which will be provided at the downstream of the dam. You might have seen in wherever means if you have visited the dam, there on the downstream side, always the water is standing. Means whatever the spillway of water is falling down, that will be falling over the water only. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
So which can reduce or prevents the erosion or scouring due to the high velocity. So where all you can get it, dams, weirs, and other hydraulic structures, you will be getting like these structures. Okay, as an energy dissipator, to dissipate the excess energy of the flowing water downstream of the hydraulic structure, such as a spillway and a sluice gates. Means by providing the hydraulic jump, you can reduce the energy of the flowing water, so which can prevent the bed of the channel as well as the bed of the this dam structures and all. Okay, or the spillway. So sometimes this hydraulic jump will be used for mixing the chemicals and aeration of stream polluted by the biodegradable wastes. So the aeration purpose, the hydraulic jump will be created. It is means artificially created in the laboratories and all. That is, then the rising the water level in the channel for irrigation. So it requires to rise the water and to feed the water in the irrigation channel. The hydraulic jump will be creating. And desalination of the seawater. Sometimes to desalination purpose, the hydraulic jump will be created. Then the efficient operation of flow measurement flumes, the hydraulic jump will be creating. Is it clear? The applications, all of you? The main application is to prevent the bed of the channel scouring, to reduce the energy. The hydraulic jump will be providing. Means always the water has to fall over the water. The stilling basin is provided. Always it has to jump and move forward. Otherwise, if it is falling with a high velocity, what will happen? The bed gets scours. The scouring will take place and it will be automatically affect the structures. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you understood, you please reply in a comment box. Understood applications of hydraulic jump. You can shortcut. You can use HJ applications. Understood. Just I'll check how many of you understood. Reply it fast. Yes. Okay. You understood the hydraulic jump. Just it is an introduction part. So if you understood hydraulic jump, then next you'll understand the derivations for the hydraulic jump. Okay. So these are some of the applications of hydraulic jump, where it will be utilized and uses and all, how it can reduce the energy and all. Okay. Then the classification of hydraulic jump, as I explained previously, based on the Froude number and all here. Look at this one. The Froude number, if it is less than 1, what will happen? The jump impossible. So Froude number is less than 1. What kind of flow we get? Subcritical, right? Yes or no? So it is jump is not possible. Hence, if the Froude number is less than 1, jump is impossible. Violate second law of thermodynamics. That will come. Okay, just to remember, jump is impossible. And all. If the Froude number is equal to 1 to 1.7, we get a standing wave type of a jump or undular jump. Jump about 4 times of depth of flow. That is y2 long. Just to remember. So again, whenever you're designing hydraulics, any of the hydraulic structure, that time you have to calculate the Froude number and you have to design according to that. Just the classification of hydraulic jump, how the jump can be classified based on the Froude number. Okay, so Froude number is between 1 to 1.7. It is a standing wave or undular jump. Undular jump about 4 times of the depth of flow in a subcritical. It's a long and low dissipation of energy, less than 5% we get if it is between 1 to 1.7. If suppose Froude number is 1.7 to 2.5. we get a smooth surface rise with a small rollers known as weak jump. So that is dissipation of energy will be 5 to 15%. And if the Froude number is 2.5 to 4.5, unstable type of a flow we get, then the oscillating jump we get. Each irregular pulsation creates a large wave which can travel downstream for a miles, damaging earth banks and other types of structures not recommended for the design conditions. Means if we are getting a 2.5 to 4.5 the Froude number, you have to give the comment that it is not recommended for the design. But otherwise it will damage the banks of the channel as well as it will damaging the other structures also. So the dissipation is 15 to 45%. The Froude number is between 4.5 to 9, stable, well balanced, steady jump, best performance and action. Insensitive to downstream condition, best design range, dissipation energy will be 45 to 70%. Okay, these are some comments. If the Froude number is greater than 9, rough, somewhat intermittent, strong jump, but good performance, dissipation will be 70 to 85%. So if you are the hydraulic engineer, you are designing some of the hydraulic structure, that time, so this number will be very much useful for deciding what kind of jump should we have for protecting the banks and bed of the channel as well as banks and bed of the dams. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Just you remember just the classification. So for the knowledge purpose. So if you become a hydraulic engineer later, if you become a specialization in hydraulic structures and all, that time this Froude number is very much useful whenever you do design of any of the hydraulic structures and all. Okay, so these are just the classification of hydraulic jumps. As I said, the Froude number is between 1 to 1.7 undular jumps. So like this, 1.7 to 2.5 weak jump, 2.5 to 4.2 oscillating jump, 4.5 to 9 steady jump, and more equal to 9 greater than 9 it is a strong jump like this. Okay, these are the hydraulic jump. Thank you. Okay, so I hope you understood, all of you, today's concept. Okay, so next class I am going to derive this one. So today I explained about a non-uniform flow and hydraulic jump introduction. The next class I'll be going to derive the expression for the conjugate depths and energy loss, right? Then the numerical problems on that one. Okay, right. With this I'll wind up the today's session. I hope you understood. So please all of you give your attendance here and leave the meeting. I'll take it next. Okay, so anyway, you have a next class. All of you give your attendance and leave the meeting.